Welcome back to the Talking Dev, and this video is a continuation of HTML forms. So I noted the previous one was going longer. So in this video, we are going to continue with select and then checkboxes and then radio buttons, and then we'll complete with Fieldset and legend here at the end of this section on forms. So let's quickly go to my VS Code and quickly start that presentation. Now that we are done with the text area, let's quickly go to the checkboxes and see how to do them here. So what we usually have is that checkboxes and radio button, not that they have a different type of a tag like text area, like we've seen with the text area. They also use input. So I have our input to radio, and what I wanted to demonstrate is that let's have an example of a female male kind of a form that is correcting maybe gender. So let's do that. So we have radio, and let's first have a label. This one we'll use like that one, and then times 2 so that we can quickly do that. So I'm using image, and we all know image here, it's crazy good. Let's just separate them and add breaking there. So here, what image have done for us, it has added the label here and another label here. And as you've noted, here we have our radio buttons, and you can click and click, and you can see all of them. You can click all of them at once and check them, just like you're seeing here. But what we can do is change a little bit of how they behave so that we can have this one as a single element representing a male or a female. So here it will represent, let's start with a gender type of female. I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying that, female. And then we have a gender type of male here. And well, we are used to do that, right? Adding the same type of for or a label or name to the same type of a name. But here we want these checkboxes to behave as if you only have one option, that is either a female or you can be a male. So, and we are collecting gender. So let's call this, let's fix our problem here so that we can either have a gender called a male or a female. So we are collecting gender, and here female, right? And then let's first see what that one does. Yeah, and then let's name our label here and call female. We all know importance of doing that, and male. Taurus, here we go. We have our female and gender radio buttons, so you can click one or the other. You see what's happening? I suppose they were connected. Oh, sure. This was supposed to be gender, not male. Name, gender. I'm sorry for that one. So that one or this one. Yes, that one or this one. And also you can click the label. I'm not so sure why this one is not working for label here. Is it crossing right? I should like to have my label like this one. Okay, I can see that one is working, and I like to do that. This is because of legibility. I don't want to have a situation where I cannot see what's happening. Label and label for male or ID female. Okay, now you can see when you name your forms the wrong way, your labels don't work. And here we have a good example where our label was not working. So we have a female there, and then you can activate male. So you just click the label and that one. You can even activate the radio button itself, and it works. So this is how to do it. And because we have an issue with our default here, so what we'll do, we want, when someone comes to this page, let's say the default will be female. Okay, I think that one will be more a little bit not applicable here, but all I wanted to illustrate is that if you want to have a default value, you can have it as checked by default, so that when someone comes to this page, it will be checked, and by default it will be female. But I don't think this one apply here. We want someone to be, this one to be open-ended, so that when someone comes here, they can see that this section is all about either female or male. Now we can go further with the same idea and do the checkboxes. So let me quickly do that. And we have another section here, H3. Let's say like this one is H4 and call them checkboxes. And as you will see, it is easy. These forms, they all follow almost the same kind of a structure, label and checkbox, and we can call this one form. Let's have like the language that you have experience with, and we want to collect that one, and we have input here, type checkbox, yes, and then we want to name this one programming and lang, representing language, and then we have here we'll have HTML and then CSS there. So maybe we are asking, do you have experience with this? So we are collecting that one. Oh, okay, this is HTML. I'm also repeating almost the same problem we had earlier. This should be CSS, and then this one CSS. This is correct, and then we have another one, JavaScript. Let me quickly do like this and do. I suppose you can relate on what we are trying to do here. So here we have JavaScript, and here we have CSS, and here we have HTML and CSS. That's great. Now we have our checkboxes here, so you can check one either of these or maybe multiple. You can have multiple of them, like select like that one. Let's add these breaks here so that they don't seem, these one don't seem like they are clamored here. Actually, there they are. Now we can add, if you have experienced that one, you can add that one, and also our checkboxes work. We'll see more advanced use case of checkboxes and radio button later, but this is how you can use checkboxes and radio button. If you want to limit someone to the choices, and a very good application is like creating a quiz app where we have maybe you want to someone to select only a single choice, or someone need to select multiple choices. So for instance, you have a question like us, select which ones of maybe you have a list of stuff, and then you're asking which of these stuff are correct. And then another question can be about select one which is correct. Maybe you give them like 5 choices and then only one that is correct, and then another one you give like 5 choices and select all that are correct. Now with that, we are now on our last one, whereby we are looking at this section where we'll be talking about select, and then by then we'll have this section of forms, we'll complete it. So let's go to the checkboxes here, and I'll add my, actually it is select option there, and call it select. I don't want image to add again the select option there, so we add select here. This is also another unique form tag that we use, or form element that we use in forms. So a select usually give an options where we can select. It's just like checkboxes here where we can select stuff, or even radio button here where we can select stuff. You can think of select as a fancy way of selecting stuff. You can go with the same idea here. What we usually have, these options. Yeah, value here, let's go with HTML and call it HTML, and then option here we have CSS, and call it here CSS, and then option here JavaScript, value JavaScript, and then here we have JavaScript as an option. So here we have our select option there, and this one have select HTML as default, and we can add maybe an empty option here. This is common, where we have an empty value, and then select. You can see if I can get this typing right. Here we have select which one select applies to you. So we have HTML, you can select one. We have JavaScript or this one. As you can see, we've not added these attributes. Let's quickly add them. Language. So this is how we do it, and we break it. Let's break it and twice here, so that it's look a little bit presentable. I think once, so that it can look as if they belong with one another. So that is how we can do. So here we have which one applies to you comes at first, and then we can select this one or JavaScript, and that's how you do select. We add options, but sometimes we may want to group these options, and perhaps we may want to group programming languages into their groups, or maybe front end and back end. And let's add a little bit of context with this one so that we can do that. So quickly, let's do front end here. Group this one into front end. So I add a few more when it comes to things to do with back end. So let's do with that. So when it comes to option groups here, we need to add something like a label, and we call them front end. Let's capitalize that one and quickly go back to our there. And I hope you can see we have our section here that is front end, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then we go to another options. Let's call this option group backend label, backend languages, or maybe frameworks, mostly in JavaScript, because that's what I'm so much experienced with. So here we have something like express, value express, and we call express JS. Okay, let's paste it. And then we have nest JS, something like that one. Option, we have nest JS, and then we have nest JS. So looking at that, we have more like a structure. We've given our form a little bit of structure to have sections, and this is how you can use select with this kind of structure, where we have sort of a section within the same form. This is some cute way of presenting. There is a advanced way of using a select other than what we have, because sometimes you may want to use more than one values. So that's something you can do with select. That one we won't touch here. But the thing is that for this one, we've managed to add option groups, and then different type of options. And also, in order to add a value and tie together this select with these options, we wrap together our options inside the select tag, as you've seen below. When it comes to grouping, we do the same and wrap our options inside opt groups, as we can see here. Now with that, we can quickly go back and now start fixing what we are having here. This text here, you can see we have this text, and here we have another text, and here we have another text. We can also go up to this section, but I will quickly add like two of them, like the one that we have here, and show you how we do it. So what we usually do is that we change this one, Fieldset, and then we move everything that we have here, that is all that one, we move inside there. And then I suppose, can we add multiple agent in a single file? I will find that one very soon. So here we have our title. Let's add that one, like this guy. Yeah. Our form, we have select your programming language. Okay, select your programming language. options. Let's add this one. Let's rename this one as options. Options programming language. Here we have just one. You can be able to select only one at a time, more like the checkboxes here. So you can see how we separated this section and made it look like it is a separate section from the rest. And let's add a break here so that it's look more like it's a complete section. Okay, let's go back to our checkboxes and see how also to do. So actually what we do, we repeat the same, and then field set and legend there, legend. So we use the same title. I think there is no harm because we are doing almost the same idea here. Okay, and there you go. Okay, let's move. Where is that H3 that's coming, that is zipping there? Okay, select your program option groups. We are here, there, and then we have labels going down there, so you can select that one. You also add these breaking sections there, or breaking tags, and here on top. So, and I usually like to add things like this one to this section, more like radio buttons. As you can see, these are checkboxes, checkboxes. Our page is becoming longer. Now we are having 146 lines, all talking about form and different type of forms. So here we also have a field set. We have, this should be field set and legend. There we go, and then we move our content inside there. And here, what do we call it? Radio buttons. And then we remove this guy. Let's just do that, and gender. Can you see? Now we are having all these options. We are separating our options. They look like we've actually formatted even without adding CSS, and we are having all these sections together and grouping them, giving them some context. Is the same process you can do with all other sections. So that is the function of Fieldset, and there are more advanced use cases of Fieldset. One of them, when it comes to maybe in future when you learn React, or perhaps maybe you've learned React, you use this Fieldset a lot in that area when it comes to maybe auto select something, or maybe you want to add accessibility features. So this Fieldset and legend, they usually come very handy. Sometimes you don't even want to add these lines. Sometimes you just want to make that section look pretty, and that will be the work of CSS. That is a lot about forms, and I've actually tried to work very fast to see that I've added a lot of content so that you can have more ideas of how to work with forms. But technically what usually happens when it comes to form is that mostly you won't be working with them vanilla like this one. I want to show you something when it comes to forms. If you follow the path of React and JavaScript, that's when you advance yourself in the field of programming. You realize when it comes to JavaScript, that is React.js, we have Formic here. These are JavaScript library that help developers to fix this problem of building form from start. And you see, forms can be a little bit stressing when it comes to managing their states. You can see those values and tracking what they are trying to submit. So we have library like Formic, and then we have another React library like this one, React Hook Form library. These are two most popular libraries that you will come across in the future. But by knowing the foundation of forms and by going through like these kind of a guideline that we are having here on Mozilla Doc, looking at the forms, seeing different type of form options, knowing what type of options that you can use when it comes to form, going through this guideline and going through every step by understanding what we have in forms. You don't have to understand everything. All you need is to understand a basic of them. For instance, we have something like this progress. If you know we have a progress and how we define them, you see the syntax is almost the same. We have a tag that's called progress that is related to form. You add that progress with this tag, and then we have a tag like meter. We add this one with this tag, and also you come to the documentation and you try to look what can we do with this tag and what was the reason why they created this tag. I think by following those steps, by seeing through and working together with the documentation, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know enough to keep going and to place yourself in a position whereby you can start working with anything, because you don't need everything. There is Google and there is documentation. With that, thank you. And if you like this content, what we've presented here, there is another one that is coming. That's another section that is coming after this one. It is this video here. We'll be talking about structuring our pages with HTML, because that is the beginning. We build the foundation, then we bring other elements to make our pages look better with actual CSS, and in future hoping you follow through with language like JavaScript. Until next time, bye.